What's up, Younger fans? I'm Taylor Strecker coming to you from my living room with an inside look at Younger. This is your Getting Younger After Show. In this episode, Quinn moved in for the kill as Team Charles got their hearts broken all over again. Let's unpack all of these feels with my special guest of the night, Peter Hermann. Peter, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to be back.
I know. I'm so happy to see your punum again.
The punum. You know, it's funny when you said Team Charles. I'm like, my God, we've taken a beating.
Oh yeah.
And it's just like a team where you could after the rugby game, after the rugby scrum, the football game, we're all muddy, we're all bruised, we're all battered, we've got bandages on, we're all popping Advil, but we're still going strong. We're still going strong.
Still here, and we're still fighting the good fight. Yes.
We're still in the game. Exactly. It's raining. It's the field's all torn up, but we're doing well. So come on.
Let's start with the fairly epic blow up between Charles and Liza. So Charles admits that he proposed in the moment because he was threatened by Josh and wanted to know Liza really loved him. I mean, Peter. No, he didn't. I was screaming at this moment. I like how you ask me like it's my fault. You're like, Peter, what are you thinking? Peter, call Charles in your head.
Exactly. Call him and tell him. What are you thinking? No, but so listen.
Okay.
Right. So it's not that this man decided, oh, wait, here's the like tattooed hot guy from Brooklyn who also plays a profound role in her life. And she's talking to him. It's not middle school. You know, it's not like, wait, she's talking to him, so I'm going to ask her out. It's not that. Right. There's so much history between these two people. And of course, he has envisioned a life with her and what that would look like for so long and what that would mean. And he wants to be married to her. And he believes deeply in marriage and what can grow out of a union between two people where that attachment is not in the sense sort of not binding in a negative way, but where you simply grow together and you build something together. That's what he wants to do. And so it's not this spur of the moment thing like, hey, this never occurred to me before. And I'm going to ask you now because someone else is talking to you. That ends up being the thing that ends up finally pushing him over the threshold, that finally pushes him over the edge where he says, you know what, I'm going to ask her. And so did he go into that night planning to ask her? No. Did he think about it all the time? Yes.
Okay.
Was that the moment that finally nudged him? Yeah. And those things happen.
Okay. So it wasn't like, we're just.
So stop yelling at me. Okay, there's a reason.
Okay. No, that makes sense because it did kind of feel like, oh my God, that's why he proposed. But you're right. There's so many more layers to it. And it's like, of course he's been thinking about this. It was spur of the moment. And maybe it was fueled by that moment of jealousy. But of course, that would be the only reason why he would propose to Liza. He would take it seriously. Charles is a man of reason to some degree.
Yes. Yeah. And it was interesting because the original line was, I wanted to feel like you really loved me. Right.
Yeah.
I asked if I could change it to, I wanted to know that you really love me, because it's like, I don't think that he's a man who says like, hey, I really wanted to feel like you loved me. I simply wanted to, and there's so many different ways that people think about marriage and the role that marriage plays in people's lives and people's right to get married, who was allowed to get married, who's not allowed to get married.
Yep.
Huge topic, separate show.
Yes.
And I can't talk about marriage without acknowledging all of that. I think that in this particular character's mind, he does, and in a way you can say it's traditional, maybe it is, but he does yearn for a that formal and, in a sense, um, you know, public declaration, not for his ego, but to say before people, we are going to go on this journey together, right? And that is, and to be married like that, and she just thinks about it differently because she's a different person.
Yeah. I will say this, in Charles' defense, um,
Thank you.
Liza has lied, right? I mean, that's the premise of the show. So, and I think that Liza does realize that Charles might never trust her because she has shown herself to be a very damn good liar. Even if it's for good reason, it's not malicious. She's still really good at lying. So, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, but I think that they both. I think that, I don't think that he is so petty that he says, well, you lied, so I can't trust you, right? So, I don't. I think that the idea of truthfulness and authenticity and who we are and who we really are, I think that, yeah, I guess it all falls under the heading of lying, but I think that it's more complex than that. And those issues, authenticity, are you who you say you are? Who will you reveal yourself to be? Is the other shoe going to drop at some point in our relationship? Those are all at issue between them.
Yes.
And those are all at issue in every relationship.
Yes.
Authenticity and honesty. Absolutely.
Yes. Okay, so this was not Charles and Liza's first tiff of the season. There's been quite a few. I have to ask you, what is it like shooting these scenes where you and Sutton are like, the emotions are running so high?
It's funny. We always, when one thing that's throughout the seven seasons, things were always good when we were in the kitchen of my townhouse.
Yes.
Right? So things are always good in the kitchen. And so we'll be in this blowout fight, and we would just say to each other between scenes, we're like, man, we got to get back to the kitchen, because things were always happy. Things were always happy in the kitchen. Somehow it was always like the morning, and I was going to work, and there was romance. It was all good. So, and then and it's funny, that one in particular, that scene in 709, we shot that late in the shoot. That one got under both of our skins somehow. And which is great because it makes it real, and you have two people talking to each other. And then two people drawing from things that are really authentic.
Yeah.
And I remember when I remember her line when she said, "Are you kidding me?" She has a great line. She goes, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah.
And it just went whomp. And I remember it just like, wow, that one hit me.
Peter, I was screaming when I watched it. My fiance came running down like, what happened? I was like, no, this did not just happen. I mean, I was losing my mind, losing.
And when she finally, and I think that I love that and I love the way that she played it. She finally got to say, like, God, it has to be your way or the highway or not at all. Like,
Yep.
What is wrong with you? And I think that and I think one of the reasons why that the scene ends up being rich is because, the sentence or the question, like, why does it have to be your way, is probably something that very few people in a relationship haven't said at some point.
Right.
It is so universal. It's like, God, it has to be your way or not at all. Any relationship, anywhere, ever. And so so she could really like wind up on that one. And she took such a great crack at that. It was just so good.
It's so good.
But and then sometimes when we know that we have a blowout scene coming up at some point during the day, when we greet each other, when we get to set, we're like, hi, it's gonna be okay. We're gonna fight, okay. And then she's very sweet. She was like, but we still had nice times, but sometimes we get along. It's very sweet. But it's not all fighting. Very nice. Very sweet.
Consummate, like, just positive thinking, right? And
Yeah,
lots of
exactly. But
people out there.
we get back together. So fun.
Oh. Okay, well, do you hear that? That's the
I
noise
do.
when we have a visitor. It's the writer of tonight's episode, Allison Brown. Welcome to Getting Younger.
Hi,
Hi.
Allison Brown.
I'm here.
You're here. Hi.
What surprise.
So, Allison, before we get into everything, I know that you had a little last time you and Peter were on together. He admitted to stealing something off the set of Younger, and I think that you actually came with something to show Peter today. Am I right?
I actually stole something off the set of Younger as well.
Oh, good
It
God.
is this Diana Trout London Lit Fair Award from Charles's first ever appearance on Younger.
Oh my God.
God,
Oh wow.
I know.
good one. That's a good
It's
game.
really
That's
plastic.
I mean, if it's missing, I've broken into your house to steal it.
I'm not telling you where I live.
Right. Very,
Okay,
very nice.
Allison, let's get into this episode. Okay, Maggie turns some angry tweets into art about the perception of a person at a moment in time. When future generations look back on Younger, how do you hope it'll be perceived?
Oh, that's interesting. I hope it'll be perceived as a fun show that's also really about something.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this morning. We started the show in 2014, and I don't think it would be the same as if we started it in 2021. A woman who is not hired because of her age is like, I don't think we could get away with that. I don't think we would be saying that now. So it is interesting. It is a little bit of a time capsule, but yeah, I think we tried to talk about it. I think we tried to talk about something important.
I will say too, and I think I brought this up last time you were on the show about how you guys kind of have your finger on the pulse of what's coming next in, the world, society, culture. So I actually I feel like it's a very woke show, in my opinion.
Great, good. We want that. we want to be.
Yeah. I think that that's my prediction for the perception.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Good.
for sure.
Yes.
In this episode, how did the decision to have Kelsey start seeing Claire's ex come about? You guys love to get a little messy in that writer's room, don't you?
Yeah, we do. We do. Well, it came about because we had Kelsey looking for a place, and we kind of had a different idea for the last episode, how we were going to use Rob.
Mm-hmm.
He turned out to be sort of a villain. But he was going to be even more of a villain, and we kind of tampered it down.
What were you going to do?
Well, he was going to buy Josh's place. So Josh was going to be homeless, and
Oh my God.
he was going to be a real villain, Rob. Anyway, but the Claire thing came about. I don't know. I mean, it was just like she was going to date Rob. Rob worked out for her, and then it was like, well, it also kind of works out for Kelsey. So now we have to make him a villain. Now we have to create a little love triangle.
I'm here for it. I love it. I love the messiness.
Yeah.
Okay, well, last time you were here, Allison, Peter got to ask you any question he wanted. This time, Allison, you get to ask Peter any question that you'd like him to answer. So go.
I'm going to ask you your question. Is there anything you wish you had gotten to do in the 7 seasons of Younger that you didn't get a chance to do?
No, that's it's so nice to say that and to feel so sated and to feel so satisfied. And not only is there, do I look back on it and say like, I wish I'd gotten to do that or play that or show that. There were so many things that I got to do that if you'd asked me at the beginning, first of all, whoever thinks that a show will go for 7 seasons, but that if someone asked me like, what are the things that you would want to do or think you might get to do, I got to do so much more. And then, and at the beginning, if you get cast with Sutton, then you think, wow, I wonder if I wonder if people are ever going to get to see those people who haven't seen her on Broadway and to see what she can do there and has done there, whether they're ever going to, whether the TV audience, and I know that there's the show, there was Bunhead, so people have certainly seen her dance, but on this show, and in such a beautiful, elegant way, there was, not only do we get to see her dance, but I got to dance in tails and tuxedo and tails, and with Sutton and Nico, and that is just spectacular. In the end, I ended up, because we don't address the pandemic, right, at all in the show, and then I pitched this to Darren, and I said, because before Smith Corona became Smith Corona, the typewriter company, it was the LB Smith Business Machine Company and Corona, and they ended up combining to make Smith Corona. But there are still typewriters that just say Corona.
Wow!
And so I asked Darren if in a scene which involves a typewriter which involves Charles's typewriter in the show, whether he'd be interested in just panning the camera up past the word Corona, just as a slight nod, as a tiny nod to the time that we're in. And he said, yes, love it. And we ended up using a Corona typewriter that I gave to my son. And so I grabbed it from him, and that's the typewriter that we use. And I don't know, like I said, time-wise, I don't know if it'll make it in, but I even got to, in the long-winded answer to your question, Allison, about what I got to do, I even got to get one of my son's typewriters into the show.
That's cool.
So, really cool.
Well, there are some people in the background on some of the New York street scenes wearing masks. So. Oh,
are they really?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that.
Wow. Oh, of course.
Yeah. Edit it out.
But it's not our background from the show, because that's always masked off, right? Yeah. Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
But of course. I totally forgot about that. Of course.
I know.
What a wild time. The fact that the show got finished, and honestly, I thought the pandemic was definitely going to wipe out this after show. So we did it all.
I know, right back at you with getting it done. So
yeah.
So we virtual high fives to all of us, I think.
For all of us. This is the episode where Quinn has buttons it, right? So we just have extraordinary writers, and think about the elegance of that, right? So you have this villain, right? You have this character that people really dislike, and she's the antagonist to Liza's protagonist, and my God, she is the nemesis, and no one likes her. And then she humanizes in this last season. And then we hear her talk to Liza, and then that final stitch, that's really, I think that's such elegant writing and so accomplished. And I think that when we talk about the amount of work that goes into making this show, like the level at which you have to be writing to be able to reveal character with one line at the end, and then I would have said yes, and not even like a mustache twirling line. She says it lovingly to me, and then we're like, oh my God, she's so bad.
But it's so Quinn, because in the scene before, when she's talking to Liza, she's leading her to believe that she never.
Yes. Oh my God, she's totally on her side, totally on. But the entire time, it's this mercenary gathering of information.
Yes.
And but I just think that's. I think your writing is just first rate.
Allison, thank you so much. I mean, really, Peter said it best, but your writing is just, you guys are incredible, really. So thank you so much for everything you do for Younger, and thank you for joining us here.
Oh my God, thank you guys for having me. It's nice to see you both.
Bye.
Bye. Throughout this final season of Younger, we're loving looking back at some of the show's most memorable scenes. Tonight, we heard Charles admit that he's threatened by Josh, But let's revisit a scene from season 3 where Liza may have been with Josh, but the tension between her and Charles was fire. Take a look.
Do you need a hand with that?
Yes, I do. Do you mind? Charles.
Rada, this is a colleague of mine, Liza Miller.
It's lovely to meet you.
Oh, you too.
And what do you do at Empirical?
Oh, I'm just an assistant.
She's being modest. Liza's co-running our millennial imprint. How did it go today with those internet stars?
The stupid girls.
A favor to our new investor, young guy in tech. And Liza's imprint is the shiny penny that keeps him interested in Empirical.
That's me. Shiny penny. Actually, I want to talk to you about something that Bryce said today.
Liza!
Hi.
Figured I'd hit the bar before we go in.
Josh, you remember Charles?
Yeah. Nice to see you again.
You too. This is Rada.
Pleasure. Well, we should take our seats.
Have fun tonight.
You too.
Please.
Ooh, Peter, what do you remember about shooting that scene?
Dress.
Dress, right? Oh my God, that dress!
Oh.
Epic. It's its own character.
Yeah, I think that the dress needs its own show.
I agree.
Spin-off. Holy cow! And it's funny because there was that dress. There was another dress. Also the dress that Sutton wears to Diana's wedding. There's that, and as the seasons go on, there was always there was always like the dress, and it was always a new dress. Like, oh my God, the dress, and there were about 6 or 7 of them. But I think that one in particular, I think I got to set, and a couple of people said to me like, "Wait till you see the dress." And no, that's really something. It's a work of art. So yeah, that's what I remember. I remember the dress.
And like the
Fun.
back, I mean, and then you're zipping.
And that's that was at a location that was at the customs house down in Tribeca, and where a lot of stuff gets shot. And it was this beautiful setting. There's beautiful vaulted ceilings, and it's funny, I hadn't thought about shooting that in a long time, and it's so funny because it took forever, and the setups took forever, and it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and then it looks so beautiful and glam, when you actually look back on it. But also, what I love about that is when you see it is the look on her face.
Yeah.
Right, because it's like, and you see and I love in so many scenes. And in that moment, there's just so much going on. And I think it's fun afterwards to look at all those layers of what's happening. And the other thing that I know, this isn't just me, but I'll speak for myself. When the first time that I look at something when I've shot it, right, it is this merciless process of just picking it apart, right? Like, how'd you do it? How's that moment? Oh, you missed that moment. Oh, you should have that. And I wish I did it. But then that relentless editor or critic or whatever you want to call him chills out after a while, or gets interested in critiquing other stuff, so that once now, years later, I can look back at that, and there's still stuff where I look at and I'm like, yes, this, no, that, but it's actually fun to watch. It's really fun to watch the story, and you can actually just watch it as a scene and as a story being told, and
It's so good.
fun to look back.
Peter, what's going to go down as your all-time favorite scene from Younger? And I'm sorry to do this to you. I know it's very hard to pick, but your favorite of the time.
It's I think that there are a couple of things that I got to watch that were so I'll sort of I'll back into it. There was one time when Liza had to go into my office. Something had to go into my office, and she had put a letter on my desk, and I think she had to get the letter back. And I walk in and I ask what she's doing, and then she has to vamp about. She just has to lie about what she's doing and do this little dance in front of me, which is so preposterous and come up in the moment. The reasons why she's taking something off my desk. And it was so funny. It was so funny that you could look at the crew and everybody's shoulders were shaking because it was just so incredibly accomplished. There were a lot of those moments where I watched other people simply really, really high up in their given art form perform. So, but I will remember that I was, and I couldn't, and there are times when, you know, the camera would be on either Miriam or Hillary or Sutton, and they would do their coverage, and I was going to pieces, and then the camera would turn around on me, and I would say, "You can't do it like that. You can't do it that funny because we'll be here all day." So there's that. There were so many moments like that. I think the most, probably my favorite overall episode of the show was the Christmas episode that ended where we ended up with the kiss in the snow, where Charles finally comes around and says, "I don't care anymore," and there's that beautiful crane shot that goes up. I thought that was, and then that was also where she does the Sound of Music number, and then her clocking Charles in the apartment and having to dance this family dance in front of her boss, where there's a love relationship, and then they have to pretend not to know each other. I really like that whole episode. I think my favorite scene was early on. It's the first time that Liza goes to babysit at Charles's townhouse. And it's that first conversation where Liza talks, she quotes an author. I think she quotes Kurt Vonnegut, or I don't think it was Vonnegut, but quotes somebody. And then his line is, "Are you sure you're 26?" And there's this, and he came home in black tie and offers her a drink, and it's funny. And I think about, like, offers her a drink. I don't know whether we would have written that now. You know, I don't know whether that would be written now. Also interesting. But as an actor, I look back at that with a nostalgia for, wow, that was a long time ago. And look at all the stuff that we didn't know yet back then. Yeah. And I think that Charles as a character also looks back at that moment and says, wow, look at all the stuff that hadn't happened between the two of us yet way back then. But I also think that, again, writing wise, it's so much fun for an audience to know more than one or more of the characters in the scene. You know, dramatic irony, where you have the audience watching, they know that she's 26, he doesn't, and they're watching this electricity happen between them, and he can't quite define it, but it is so there, it's so palpable, and he is so deeply attracted to this uncannily wise young woman. And I just loved the way that played out. And then the ending of it, where they both stand up, and he, I think he says, "I'll call you a car." And then she says, "No, I have someone picking me up." And then he asks if it's a young man or something. Oh, it's something like, "You don't want to keep your young man waiting."
Right.
Something along those lines. And then afterwards, she goes skateboarding off with Josh. I thought it was, I love that scene.
So while we're looking back, let's have some fun with the segment we're calling When You Were Younger. I'm going to show you an interview from several seasons ago. And you're going to let us know. Yep. And you're going to let us know with you. Yes. And you're going to let us know if anything's changed since then. Okay. So back in season 2, you and Miriam talked about what it was like when you break during filming. Let's take a look.
So Peter tells us that he breaks the most on set.
Oh, you know what? He doesn't break the most, but when he breaks, it's massive. It's really good.
It's bad.
You know that you've succeeded. Like he'll break, and then it's sort of a giggle fest for a while, and
You
it's
can go
really
out to
good.
Crafty and get food.
Yeah,
and then
you can
like,
take a break, get him a massage. He'll just work through it, and then it's really fun though. And that's what I mean. Why we're just here to have fun.
We're just here.
And entertain you.
Serious show.
So, Peter, have you been able to keep it together since then, or do you still break as epically as you did when you were younger?
When I was younger, I don't, but I think largely because of the help of my castmates, because everybody just wants to go home, and so when everybody wants to go home in a timely fashion, so they just don't have time for my half hour of like like coming off my spool. So Hillary will say, I will start to, it'll start to happen, and she just goes, or Sutton goes, don't. Right? Like to a small bad child, like don't, or like to a dog, like nope, get away from that. And so so then I'm essentially chastised back into sanity, which saves everybody a lot of time. So it didn't happen that much this season. I think it may also have been because in between scenes we always had our masks on.
Yeah.
So it's you're reacting to less of a face. So and then it was really interesting because we rehearsed with our masks on, which is fascinating, because then when you actually shoot the scene is the first time that you actually see the person's face. I mean, we all know each other's faces, but still. And I don't know if that had something to do with it, but I didn't have any major mishaps this season. But I did so yeah, did that change? Yes, I think that I'm still just as prone to coming apart as I always was. But I kept it together this season for the most part. Yeah, I think so.
We're all grown up.
Yeah, I think so. I think so once. Yes. No, maybe once, but where something was like randomly funny. But it wasn't even organic out of the thing. It just like something flew into my head, which shouldn't have been there, and I laughed. But so it was okay. I was okay.
Peter, I adore you. You are so magical and wonderful, and just all of the epic good things in this world. It has been such an honor and a pleasure to get to work with you. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much, and thank you for doing this. Really. Thank you for everything that you did, and for your enthusiasm and your love, and for how hard you work, and for your support, and for your great questions, and for your heart, and for your deep, deep goodness and your good cheer. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, Peter. Honestly, the honor has been all mine. You guys are so incredible. Such a special show, special cast, special writers, special everything. I am just so happy I got to be a part of this process. So, these episodes are going to start getting real sad.
Yeah.
I know.
Okay. Before we both weep, we'll say goodbye.
Burst out and ruin my makeup. Peter, thank you so much. You're the best. Really, thank you.
Bye.
Bye. And thanks to everybody watching. I'm Taylor Strecker, and this is Getting Younger. Join me again right here after the next episode for more behind-the-scenes stories and insights from the cast. Until then, here's a sneak peek of what's to come.
And you know I ride for me.
Okay, walk. Give us a twirl. Yeah, okay, toss the pony. Mama is on her way to her solo art show.
You don't have to gas me up like I'm going to an actual art show at a real gallery. It's a dive bar, Liza.
But that makes it cool, right? Hey, do you remember the first time we met at your show at that coffee shop in the village?
Well, it was barely a show or a coffee shop. And just so you know, they were selling hash there.
Okay, will you just let me have this? It might have been a tiny show to you, but I bought my very first piece of art, which I still have. And I met an incredible friend. which I still have. Tonight is going to be amazing, even if it's not exactly what you expected.
All right.